My doctor looked at me and said, "You're diabetic." My A1C was through the roof. I was exhausted every single day. This chronic stress is destroying your progress. It signals to your liver to release stored glucose, which is the opposite of what you need. I was sleeping maybe 5 hours at night. I've seen people whose glucose readings stayed stable for 3 weeks. These 10 mistakes could be what's holding you back. One year ago, I sat in a doctor's office and heard 2 words that changed everything. "You're diabetic." My A1C was through the roof. I was exhausted every single day. My brain felt foggy, and my doctor looked at me and said, "We need to get this under control before it gets worse." She started me on semaglutide, not for what everyone talks about online, for my blood sugar, for my health, for my future. And in the first couple of months, everything improved. My glucose stabilized, I had energy again, my labs looked better. I felt like I was finally getting somewhere. But then things plateaued. My numbers weren't moving like they used to. I wasn't feeling the same progress. I was starting thinking, is this it? Is this as good as it gets? That's when I realized something. The medication was still working, but I was making mistakes that were sabotaging my own progress. Small things nobody tells you about, things that seem harmless but are actually holding you back. And here's what I learned. GLP-1 medications are powerful, but they're not magic. They need your help, and if you're not doing certain things right, you won't get the results you deserve. Hey! I'm Rosaline, I'm 35, and welcome to the Trim Talks. This is where we talk about real strategies for managing your health with GLP-1 medications. No hype, no shortcuts, just honest information. I've been living with type 2 diabetes for over a year now, and I've spent that whole 1 year figuring out what actually works and what doesn't. Not just for blood sugar, but for energy, consistency, and feeling good in your body. Today, I'm breaking down the 10 most common mistakes people make on GLP-1 medications. The mistakes that stall your progress, mess with your energy, and make you feel like nothing's working anymore. And more importantly, I'm telling you exactly how to fix each one. Because you didn't start this journey to feel stuck. You started it to feel better, and you deserve to get there. So if you're frustrated, plateaued, or just want to make sure you're doing this right, pay attention. These 10 mistakes could be exactly what's holding you back. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1, not eating enough to support your body. The first mistake I see constantly. People think less food automatically means better results. But that's not how your body works, especially on GLP-1 medications. When you're on semaglutide or tirzepatide, your appetite drops dramatically. And most people respond by barely eating anything. They go from eating normal portions to eating like 800 to 900 calories a day. At first, things improve quickly. Your glucose drops, you feel lighter, everything seems great, but then your body starts fighting back. When you eat way too little for weeks on end, your metabolism slows down to conserve energy. Your body thinks there's a crisis, it starts holding on to everything it can. On top of that, you start breaking down muscle tissue because you're not giving your body enough fuel or protein to maintain it. And when you lose muscle, your metabolism slows even more. It becomes a cycle. A study in the International Journal of Obesity showed that people in extreme calorie deficits experience significant metabolic adaptation. Their bodies literally start burning fewer calories at rest. So even though you're eating less, your progress stalls because your body adjusted. So how do you fix this? You need to eat enough to support your metabolism. For most people, that's at least 1,200 to 1,500 calories per day. I know it sounds like a lot when you're not hungry, but you have to think of food as fuel, not just something as you eat when your stomach growls. Track your intake for a week, just see what you're actually eating. Most people on GLP-1s are shocked when they realize they're eating way less than they thought. And if you're consistently under 1,000 calories, you need to bring it up. and nutrient-dense foods that are easy to get down: nut butter, avocado, olive oil, full-fat Greek yogurt. You don't need huge portions, just enough to keep your body functioning properly. When I hit my plateau, I was eating like 850 calories a day and wondering why my energy crashed and my numbers stopped improving. Once I brought it up to around 1400, everything started moving again. It felt backwards, but it worked. Your body needs fuel to function. Don't starve it. Mistake number 2, drinking your calories instead of eating them. Here's a sneaky mistake most people don't even realize they're making. They're drinking a huge chunk of their daily calories, and it's completely undermining the way GLP-1 medication works. I'm not just talking about soda or juice, I'm talking about your morning latte with syrup, your protein powder loaded with add-ins, your smoothie that has more calories than an actual meal. Here's the problem. Liquid calories don't register the same way in your brain or your stomach as solid food. You can drink 400 calories and feel hungry an hour later. But if you eat 400 calories of real food, you stay satisfied for hours. And here's the bigger issue. GLP-1 medications work by slowing down how fast food leaves your stomach. That's what keeps you full. But liquids move through your stomach way faster than solid food. So if you're drinking a lot of your calories, you're not getting the full benefit of the medication. Let me give you some examples. A grande caramel macchiato from Starbucks, 250 calories. A smoothie with banana, peanut butter, protein powder, almond milk, and honey, easily 500 calories. A glass of orange juice, 110 calories of pure sugar and 0 fiber. Now, I'm not saying you can never have these things, but if your progress has stalled, this could be a major culprit. The fix is straightforward. Cut out calorie-containing drinks. Stick to water, black coffee, unsweetened tea. If you need protein, eat it. Have Greek yogurt, eggs, chicken, solid food. You feel fuller longer and with the medication instead of against it. If you absolutely need a protein shake because you struggle to get enough protein from food, keep it simple: protein powder, water, or unsweetened almond milk, ice. Don't turn it into a 600-calorie dessert and call it a shake. I used to start every morning with what I thought was a healthy smoothie. Spinach, banana, almond butter, protein powder, almond milk, chia seeds. I thought I was making a smart choice, but it was 450 calories and I was starving by 10 a.m. Once I switched to scrambled eggs and Greek yogurt, for the same calories, I stayed full until lunch. The difference was night and day. Eat your calories, don't drink them. Mistake number 3, skipping protein when your appetite is low. This mistake is costing people their health and their results. You're not eating nearly enough protein because of that. They're breaking down muscle instead of supporting their body. Here's what you need to understand. When you're eating less overall, your body looks for energy. It can get that energy from stored sources, but if you're not giving it enough protein, it'll start breaking down your own muscle tissue to get the amino acids it needs. And when you lose muscle, bad things happen. Your metabolism slows down, your strength decreases, your blood sugar becomes harder to manage because muscle is where glucose gets stored and used. Research shows that you need about 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal body weight. So if you want to maintain a healthy body, 150 pounds, you need roughly 105 to 150 grams of protein per day. Now, if you're barely eating 1,000 calories a day because your appetite is crushed, getting 100 plus grams of protein feels impossible. But this is where you have to be strategic. Every meal needs to be built around protein, not carbs, not fat. Protein first. Breakfast, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. Lunch, chicken, fish, turkey. Dinner, lean beef, salmon, shrimp. Snacks, string cheese, jerky, protein bars. And here's critical. Front load your protein early in the day when your appetite is at its highest. On GLP-1s, your appetite tanks as the day goes on. If you wait until dinner to try hitting your protein goal, it's not going to happen. Here's what a typical day looks like for me. Breakfast is 3 eggs and 1 cup of Greek yogurt. That's about 40 grams of protein before 9 a.m. Lunch is 5 ounces of grilled chicken with vegetables. Another 40 grams. By 2 p.m., I've already hit 80 grams. Then at dinner, I have another 4 to 5 ounces of protein, fish, lean beef, whatever. That's another 30 to 40 grams. And if I'm short, I'll have a simple protein shake before bed. Is it easy? No. Do I sometimes have to eat when I'm not particularly hungry? Yes. But this is non-negotiable if you want to protect your muscle and keep your metabolism functioning. I see people all the time eating banana for breakfast, a small salad for lunch, and some crackers for dinner. And they wonder why they feel weak and exhausted. You're starving your body of what it needs most. When I finally started tracking and realized I was only getting about 55 grams of protein a day, everything clicked. I was seeing results, but I felt terrible. Once I got my protein up to 120 grams daily, my energy came back, my strength improved, everything changed. Protein is non-negotiable. Make it your priority. Also, if you're someone who snacks at night out of boredom or habit rather than actual hunger, you need to break that pattern. Brush your teeth right after dinner. It's a simple psychology signal that eating is done for the day. It sounds small, but it works. Mistake number 4, sitting too much because you feel tired. Let me ask you something. Have you been moving less since you started GLP-1 medications? Because that's one of the biggest progress killers, and most people don't even realize it's happening. Here's what happens. You're eating less, you have less energy, so naturally, you start moving less. You sit more, you take the elevator, you drive instead of walk. All those small movements throughout the day add up to what's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And for most people, NEAT burns more calories than actual workouts. It's the walking, the standing, the moving around your house, the taking the stairs, all of it matters. When your NEAT drops because you're tired, you burn significantly fewer calories. And that can stall your progress even if you're eating the same amount. The solution is simple, but not always easy. You need to get your steps up. Aim for about 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. You don't need to run, you don't need intense workouts, just walk. Take a walk in the morning, walk during your lunch break, walk after dinner, park further away from the store, take the stairs when you can. And here's what's interesting. Walking actually gives you more energy. I know it sounds backwards, but movement creates energy. Sitting all day makes you tired. I also recommend some form of light resistance training 2 to 3 times per week. You don't need heavy weights, body weight exercises, resistant bands, light dumbbells, just enough to tell your body to keep your muscle. When I hit my plateau, I looked at my step count and realized I'd gone from averaging 8,000 steps a day to barely 3,000. I was exhausted, and I just stopped moving without even noticing. Once I made myself get back to 7,000 steps, everything improved. My energy came back, my glucose stayed more stable, my progress resumed. Movement matters, even when you don't feel like it. Mistake number 5, eating too close to bedtime. Nobody talks about this enough, but meal timing matters more than you think, especially on GLP-1 medications. And one of the biggest mistakes is eating too late at night. GLP-1 medications slow down your digestion significantly. Food sits in your stomach for hours, so if you eat a big meal at 9 p.m. and go to bed at 11 p.m., that food is still just sitting there. This causes multiple problems. First, it disrupts your sleep. You're more likely to have reflux, heartburn, or just feel uncomfortable laying down. And poor sleep directly impacts your blood sugar control and your hunger hormones the next day. Second, research shows that eating late at night is associated with worse metabolic outcomes independent of total calories. Your body processes food better earlier in the day when your metabolism is more active. So here's what you need to do. Stop eating at least 2 or 3 hours before bed. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., finish eating by 7 or 8 p.m. Give your stomach time to empty before you lie down. And ideally, make dinner your lightest meal. Front load your calories earlier in the day when your body can use them most efficiently. Bigger breakfast, solid lunch, lighter dinner. I used to eat my biggest meal at dinner because that's just what felt normal. But I like to go to bed feeling full and uncomfortable. I'd wake up feeling sluggish and bloated. Once I switched to eating more earlier in the day and keeping dinner light, my sleep improved dramatically. I woke up feeling better, my morning glucose readings were more stable, everything got easier. Also, if you're someone who snacks at night out of boredom or habit rather than actual hunger, you need to break that pattern. Brush your teeth right after dinner. It's simple psychology signal that eating is done for the day. It sounds small, but it works. Mistake number 6, flying blind without tracking. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're not tracking what you're eating, you have no idea what's actually going into your body. And that lack of awareness is probably holding you back. Most people either wildly underestimate how much they're eating, or on these medications, they wildly underestimate how little they're eating. Either way, you're guessing, and you can't figure out what you don't measure. You might think you're eating around 1,200 calories, but you're actually eating 1,800. Or you think you're getting enough protein, but you're only getting 45 grams a day. Without tracking, you're just flying blind. If your progress has stalled, the first thing you need to do is track everything for at least 1 week. And I mean everything. The oil you cook with, the dressing on your salad, the handful of almonds, the bite of your partner's sandwich. Use an app like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer. If you can weigh your food, even better. Just get accurate data. Now, I'm not saying you need to track forever, but if you're stuck, you need to track to figure out what's going on. Maybe you're not eating enough. Maybe you're eating more than you realize. Maybe your protein is way too low. You won't know until you measure. And here's what usually happens. People track for a week and realize, oh, I'm only eating 850 calories and 50 grams of protein. No wonder I feel terrible. Or they realize, oh, I thought that salad was light, but the dressing and the toppings made it 550 calories. Tracking gives you awareness, and awareness gives you the power to make changes. I resisted tracking for months because it felt tedious. But when I finally did it, I discovered I was eating way less than I thought, and my protein was nowhere near where it needed to be. Once I had the actual numbers, I could fix it. Track for 1 week, see what's really happening, then adjust accordingly. Mistake number 7, staying on the wrong dose. Here's something people don't always consider. Your dose might not be right for you anymore, and that could be why your progress has stalled. GLP-1 medications aren't a one-size-fits-all. The starting dose is initially low to help your body adjust and minimize side effects. But that starting dose isn't meant to be your permanent dose. Most people need to gradually increase over several months to find their effective dose. For semaglutide, the starting dose is usually 0.25 milligrams, but the therapeutic range for diabetes management and metabolic health is typically 1.0 to 2.4 milligrams. That's a significant difference. If you've been on the same low dose for months and your numbers have plateaued, you might just need to increase. Talk to your doctor about titrating up. Now, the flip side, some people increase their dose too quickly or go too high, and they feel so sick they can barely function. Yes, their numbers might improve initially, but it's not sustainable if you're miserable. The goal is finding your sweet spot, the dose where your appetite is manageable, you feel good, your glucose is controlled, and you've made steady progress. Signs your dose might be too low, you're hungry all the time, the constant food thoughts are back, your numbers aren't improving, you have basically no side effects. Signs your dose might be too high, you feel nauseous constantly. You can barely eat anything, you have no energy, your numbers are dropping too fast. If either of those describe you, have a conversation with your doctor. Adjusting your dose can make a massive difference. When my progress stalled, I was on 0.5 milligrams of semaglutide for about 4 months. My doctor asked if I wanted to try increasing. I went up to 1 milligram, and within 2 weeks, my appetite stabilized again and my glucose readings improved. I just needed a higher dose. Don't be afraid to speak up. You know your body. If something doesn't feel right, advocate for yourself. Mistake number 8, carrying too much stress. This one has nothing to do with food or medication, but it's sabotaging your results more than you realize. Chronic stress is destroying your progress. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, and chronically elevated cortisol wreaks havoc on your health in multiple ways. First, cortisol makes your blood sugar harder to control. It signals to your liver to release stored glucose, which is the opposite of what you need. Second, it makes you crave high-calorie, high-sugar foods. That overwhelmingly urge for comfort food when you're stressed, that's cortisol driving it. Third, it promotes fat storage, especially around your midsection. Even if you're eating the same amount, high cortisol makes your body hold on to everything. Fourth, it disrupts your sleep, and poor sleep makes everything worse. Your hunger hormones get dysregulated, your glucose control suffers, your energy crashes. So if you're stressed about work, family, finances, health, whatever it is, and you're not actively managing that stress, it's directly impacting your results. Here's what actually helps. Exercise. Even just walking lowers cortisol. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Even 5 minutes of deep breathing or meditation makes a difference. Spending time outside. Talk to someone you trust. Do things you enjoy that aren't related to productivity or health goals. And here's a big one. Stop stressing about your health metrics. If you're checking your glucose 10 times a day and panicking over every reading, or weighing yourself constantly and spiraling over fluctuations, you're creating stress that's making things harder. Check your glucose as a recommendation by your doctor. Weigh yourself once a week at most. Focus on how you feel, not just the numbers. When I was stuck, I was also going through one of the most stressful periods of my life. I was sleeping maybe 5 hours at night. I was anxious constantly, and no matter what I did with food or medication, nothing budged. Once I started prioritizing sleep and finding ways to manage my stress, everything shifted. My numbers improved, my energy came back, progress resumed. Stress matters. Don't ignore it. Mistake number 9, not drinking enough water. This seems almost too simple to matter, but it does. You're probably not drinking enough water, and that dehydration is sabotaging you in multiple ways. First, dehydration slows your metabolism. Your body needs water to carry out metabolic processes efficiently. When you're dehydrated, everything slows down. Second, dehydration makes you feel hungrier. Often, when you think you're hungry, you're actually just thirsty. Your brain confuses the signals. Third, dehydration makes side effects worse. Nausea, constipation, headaches, all of it gets amplified when you're not drinking enough. Fourth, water is essential for flushing waste and supporting digestion. On GLP-1s, your digestion is already slower. Without adequate water, things get backed up and you feel awful. So, how much should you drink? A good rule is half your body weight in ounces. If you weigh 160 pounds, aim for 80 ounces of water per day. And I know on these medications, you might not feel thirsty. The medication can blunt those signals, but you still need water. You have to be intentional about it. Here's what works for me. I have a 32-ounce water bottle. I fill it in the morning and finish it by noon. Fill it again, finish by 5 p.m. That's 64 ounces. Then I have another glass or two in the evening. Set reminders on your phone if you need to. Drink a glass of water first thing when you wake up. Drink before each meal, make it a habit. And here's something interesting. If you've been stuck for a while, try dramatically increasing your water intake for 3 days. Aim for 100 plus ounces. Sometimes your body is holding on to water because you're chronically dehydrated. Once you flood your system, your body releases that stored water. I know it sounds too simple, but I've seen it work for so many people. Also, if you're drinking a lot of coffee or tea, remember, those are diuretics. They make you lose more water, so you need even more to compensate. Just drink your water, it's free, it's easy, and it helps everything work better. Mistake number 10, expecting results to happen faster than they can. Last one, and honestly, this might be the most important one. You're expecting too much too fast, and that impatience is making you think something's wrong when everything is actually going right. Here's the reality. Progress isn't linear. In the first month or two on GLP-1 medications, you might see dramatic improvements. Your glucose drops, you feel better, things change quickly. But then, the pace slows. You might improve gradually week to week. Some weeks, nothing seems to change. Some weeks, things might even look slightly worse because of hormones, stress, water retention, or just normal fluctuations. And that's when people panic. They think the medication stopped working. They think their body is broken. They start changing everything, trying new strategies, increasing their dose too fast, and they make things worse. But here's the truth. Steady, gradual progress is perfect. That's sustainable improvement. That's your body adapting in a healthy way. Our brains want instant results. We want to see big changes every single week, but bodies don't work that way. You also need to remember that as you improve further, improvements naturally come slower. That's normal. That's how adaptation works. So here's what you need to do. Zoom out. Stop obsessing over week-to-week changes. Look at the trend over a month or 2 months. Are your numbers better than they were 2 months ago? Are you feeling better overall? Then it's working. Also, numbers aren't the only measure. Pay attention to your energy levels, how you're sleeping, how your clothes fit, how you feel mentally and emotionally. I've seen people whose glucose readings stayed stable for 3 weeks, but their energy improved dramatically and they started sleeping better. That's progress. The numbers just hadn't caught up yet. And sometimes your body just needs time to adjust. If you made significant improvements, your body might pause and recalibrate before making more progress. That can last a few weeks. It's not a problem, it's normal. The worst thing you can do is panic and make drastic changes. Don't slash your calories, don't jump your dose without talking to your doctor. Don't start a completely new approach out of desperation. Just keep doing what works. Stay consistent. Trust the process. When I hit my plateau and nothing seemed to be changing for 6 weeks, I almost gave up, but I kept eating enough food, prioritizing protein, moving my body, managing stress, and then things started moving again. Patience is part of the journey. Real, lasting change takes time, and that's okay.